Hey, this is Jonathan. I've been answering questions for years, and I have probably answered a couple thousand at this point. Many through email, quite a number through video, and I'm picking up the pace at which I'm answering questions via video. Fewer by email, more by video. So if you would like to ask me a question, I want to give you some pointers to actually get me to answer. I've received tons of questions I've never answered simply because it's impossible. I get too many questions. It's not possible to answer all of them. So a couple things, and I'm going to tell you how to get your question answered, or at least increase the chance that I'll answer it. So number one, I can't promise you I'm going to answer your question. Or if I do, it could take me months to get to it. But I would encourage you not to be offended if I don't answer or if it takes a long time. Please understand that I run a couple companies of a decent size, and those are my first priority because they pay me, whereas this is something I don't get paid for. And I want to answer the questions. I really actually enjoy it. It's just I have very limited time. And so I want to give you a few ideas on how to have the highest probability of me answering your question. And by the way, in working through this process, which it's quick, it'll help you think about your question and you might answer it for yourself. So on my screen, I have an example email. If you want me to answer it, send it to this address, info@serviceautopilot.com. That's important. If you want me to respond to it, it's also important that you put this subject line on that email. We get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails per day. So send it to LCM question for Jonathan. So LCM question for Jonathan is your subject. And then basically you ask me the question. So let me give you an example of some questions that are pretty common. How do I make more money? It's pretty wide open. That's not a good question. Or, I want to grow, what should I do? Not a very good question. Or, I get questions that are literally 20 lines, text all the way across the screen. So imagine this line right here, 20, 30, 40 of those lines. I get a book. That's cool, I get it. But if I'm looking through 10 questions that came in today trying to figure out which one I'm going to answer quickly, and yours is a book, it just feels painful to answer that one and read it and try to comprehend it. If you've typed it from your mobile device and it doesn't make sense, it's not, the spelling is so bad I can't read it, probably not going to get answered. So if you put a little bit of effort into it, that'll highly increase my interest in answering that question because it'll be easier for me to quickly give you a decent answer. And so to further my point, let me give you an example of a good question. So here's an example. Jonathan, my wife and I started a business in 2010. It's going well. However, we are only grossing $375,000 per year and my goal is $1 million. I believe the problem is that I spend 35 hours per week in the field. I don't do the work. I'm more of a project manager. How do I get myself out of the field? By the way, we have no cash for growth and I don't know how to market. I've tried, but it never works. I think my number one problem is freeing up my time, but I might be wrong. So some examples about this, some things about this question that make me willing to answer it. It's not too long. It could be a little longer than this, and I would still, of course, answer it, but it's not too long. I can quickly look at this and say, I can read that. So this person would have also clearly stated the question very clearly. I can quickly read it and understand the question. It was easy to understand. They also state what they think the problem is. This is really important. So if you want me to answer the question, tell me what you think the problem is. What you might find is when you start typing the email and you tell me what the problem is, you go back and reword the original question because you kind of feel like you already have your answer. Knowing what you think the answer is helps me answer the question. I might say, I don't think you're right, but it helps me. Or I might say, you know what, I think you're dead on. Here's what you need to do to solve the problem. Helps me answer it more quickly. And then the third thing that you might include, that would be kind of the by the way here, is any backstory that I need to know. So you're asking me a question, but really there's a couple facts I've got to know. Give me the facts. The best way to do it, give me a couple bullet points or number of 1 through 4. Give me the backstory so I can quickly understand the context to better answer your question, because I actually do care about giving you an accurate answer. Sometimes I don't answer questions because I don't even know enough to give an answer that would be accurate. And the last thing I want to do is lead you down the wrong road. And if you would, 1 question per email. Peppering it with 5, 6 questions, I just don't have the time. So you might send me 3 emails and I might answer 2 or 3, all 3, or I might answer 2, but 1 question per email. If you'll follow that procedure, your chances of me answering your question will go way up. And I'm serious about doing this. I'm answering many questions per week now by video. And if you want me to answer yours, tell me what it is. Thanks a lot.